Hello, everybody. Hope you're doing fantastically well. It's Connor here, and yes, we are back with the Rumour. Thank you so much for the support on the channel over the past couple of days. I've had a sort of couple of days off, everyone. It's been hectic at work. I've been doing night shifts. It's not been fun. So, yeah, unfortunately, sometimes when this isn't your full-time job, which hopefully one day it will be, you do have to consider other things. So, yeah, thank you for your continued support. I've had some messages. I think you guys have found it a bit weird that I've not been streaming every single day. But listen, sometimes life does get in the way. But I did what was loaded on the Patreon account yesterday was a video that you guys suggested over there. Just the strengths and weaknesses of what I've seen so far of Leeds United in pre-season, what we need to improve on. I've gone through all the games. We've reacted to loads of the games on there, and everyone on the Patreon seems to have enjoyed that. If you want some bonus Leeds United content, link is in the description below. But without any further ado, guys, well, and a little bit of ado. Make sure you're hitting the like, comment, and subscribe, as I always say. Anyway, Elan Melier feels that this has been a great summer for Leeds United. He was quoted by Leeds United Live as saying, "It's good to see some new faces in the club and the dressing room. Now we have a bigger roster." Jesse's giving his impact. We have good players and everyone has arrived with a fresh mentality. He said it's different to last season. I think Jesse is the same with how he's had a pre-season to prepare. I don't think he's changed anything, but he has his players. Interesting. Good players who've arrived. I think the puzzle was missing some pieces, but we are now complete. Now, that's nice of Elan to say. It really is nice of Elan to say. But obviously, the transfer activity over the past sort of week, 10 days-ish, has been quiet, hasn't it? It really has when it comes to Leeds United. And I think, you know, the season fastly approaching, you know, less than, 2 weeks, maybe just over 2 weeks now. And we are sort of itching for that striker, aren't we? I still think with Leeds going forward, we are a little bit toothless. And that's my personal opinion. And hopefully that's, you know, going to change in against Crystal Palace tomorrow. And we're going to see some real, you know, ferocity going forward. I think there's been good spouts going forward, 100%, but I just think sometimes we are missing a little bit of that X factor. I'm hoping Sinistera is going to be that at some point. I'd like to see him get a few more minutes. Bamford's clearly getting back to full fitness, which is what pre-season is all about, but there does seem to still be a little bit of a missing piece, that X factor, that quality. As we've said, we're hoping that's going to be Sinistera. I love what Aronson's brought so far, but I think overall, everybody, we all are in agreement, I believe. I'm talking for you, all you guys here. That Leeds United a striker is absolutely, it's a necessity right now. And I think we need it before the season starts, which is in T-minus, as I said, 2 weeks. So I don't know if we're complete yet, Elan. We also, in my opinion, desperately need a left back. Jesse Marsh has said yesterday that apparently Leeds are actively pursuing a left back and a striker, which is good news. Thank God we are actively pursuing a left back. This is something that I think is imperative. There's an argument out there that we need a left back more than a striker. That is definitely something to consider. Apparently, Leeds United are happy to let Jamie Shackleton leave Leeds United after Leeds United twice there, after his loan spell at Millwall. And I think this is quite right. I think this is right. Listen, a loan's are permanent. Charlie's going to come back, but Jamie's a different one. I don't think he's ever going to work for him at Leeds United. It was such a shame because when he came up through the academy, he was the promising one. I mean, we'd heard about Jamie Shackleton sort of 4 or 5 years before he made his blast onto the main stage, really, but it wasn't really a blast. It was never took it by storm. There was no real central midfield presence, and I do think he got some chances in centre midfield, but I just don't think he took them. I don't think he's physically commanding enough. I don't think he's athletic enough, and I just ultimately think in that combative area where you're a ball winner, you do need to have those physical attributes, which I just don't think he has. The Championship, I think, will be a struggle for him week in, week out in central midfield if he is going to play in central midfield. So I think right back is probably the right move for Jamie Shackleton in the Championship, in my opinion. Phil Hay has said that Leeds United could open Jack Harrison crunch talks as 18 million bid table for winger. Phil Hay expects Leeds United to pursue a new contract for Jack Harrison. Obviously, we mentioned this on the rumour mill about 3 or 4 days ago now. It's probably going to be, well, highly likely that Leeds United do offer Jack Harrison a contract wide just to secure his services, to make sure that Leeds United get the highest value possible. I mean, we've let him get down to the last 2 years. There was an argument that Leeds United shouldn't have let Calvin, Rafinha and Jack Harrison get to 2 years. But the thing is, everybody, Leeds might not have been able to afford to put them on higher wages. You know, we all might have said we should be putting them on lengthier contracts, but, you know, been able to afford those wages, especially in Leeds United's first and second season in the Premier League, on top of the signings that were made and the signings that we are going to make, projected, it is always going to be difficult financially. So Newcastle allegedly tabled An 18 to 24 million quid bid. A lot of sources are reporting different things. I don't know if there was add-ons in there, but Newcastle, I don't feel Newcastle, I think it's almost like they don't really have the targets that they want this summer. They've obviously been knocked back by Moussa Diaby at Leverkusen. He's not going to Newcastle. So it looks like they've almost like gone down the list and found someone who's a little bit appropriate, like they did with Chris Wood, really. And that's no disrespect to Jack Harrison. It's just, I mean, they've not been actively pursuing Jack Harrison at all, you know, for the past sort of 6-7 months, whereas Moussa Diaby has been someone who Newcastle fans have been speaking of, you know, 60 million quid, but that's not happened. So I think this is good for all parties, but I've said it before, I think 35 million in isolation is a good deal for Jack Harrison. I think, as I've said before, everyone, Jack still needs to improve. He does. And listen, I know there's a lot of people who, you know, get on me about this with Jack Harrison. There's a lot of people who are throwing statistics at me about Rafinha compared to Jack Harrison. Come on, everyone. Come on. Let's not be silly now. It's not a comparison, isn't it? Is it? What did Rafinha create? 165 chances by himself last season. You know, imagine if we'd have had a striker, Rafinha's numbers. And you can say the same thing for Jack Harrison, but his numbers were nowhere near on the same scale. You know, when Rafinha came in, his first 6 months at Leeds United, he was only second in goal contributions to Bruno Fernandes, and he was part of a Leeds United side. You know, Rafinha, there's no comparison. I think even we've seen this in the first 3 games of pre-season. We've seen, where I always say before, I've said it before, hot and cold Harrison, you know. And I understand it's pre-season, of course I do. But you do still see the tendencies, don't you? You see a really good performance from him against Blackpool, not great against Brisbane, and probably the poorest Leeds player on the pitch against Aston Villa. And we know now for 4 or 5 years that this is Jack Harrison's season. And yes, he'll get 10 goals, which is fantastic throughout the season when you look at his statistics, but it's in clusters, it's in bunches, it's at stages of the season where you're like, okay, there might be sort of a 15, 16 game period where he's not really contributing that many goals or that many assists. So I still think he needs to massively improve. And I think sometimes the stats can be a little bit misleading with Jack. But he is an important player. I didn't want to let him go at all. But I do think it's definitely key to note that, in my opinion, as an isolated transfer, if we did, you know, in a good world, if we have kept hold of, let's say next season, if we keep hold of our main assets, we're a strong side, and a team comes in for Jack Harrison, I think there's better wingers than Jack Harrison out there, or better players that could fit the system, even though I do really like Harrison. So yeah, I don't think it's not going to be as impactful as, let's say, Rafinha leaving, I don't think. And I think Leeds still haven't replaced Rafinha leaving, really. I think his output is so great for Leeds United, and Leeds United's dependence on him is so great that we almost need 2 or 3 bodies in there just to get near to what he produces, you know, when it comes to on the pitch, space, goals, assists, just effort, endeavour, quality, finesse. So there's loads of things there. But allegedly Leeds United have knocked everything back, and Phil Hay was saying this morning that it's going to cost the club up to 35 million plus for Jack Harrison. So fair play to Leeds United for that. Leeds are waiting in the wings with a counter-attack to sign Club Bruges attacker Charles de Ketelaere this summer, according to journalist Alexandra Brackman. Leeds have been extensively linked with de Ketelaere, and I think it's getting on all of our tits now, isn't it? My language. All of our nerves. But it is what it is, everyone. Listen, I kind of like what Leeds are doing, but ultimately he's going to go to AC Milan. There's several Milan sources this morning stating that Milan are going to go to 30 million euros, and our Club Bruges going to really hold out. They've held out pretty firm so far, you know, a lot firmer than we did for Rafinha, but they have held, and they're doing really, really well at the minute. It's probably because they know Leeds are there, and Leeds are there with literally 35 to 40 million euros ready for de Ketelaere, and we're desperate for him. So Leeds are just waiting and waiting and waiting. And it's clearly evident that Leeds see him as the number one target. So he's not gone to Milan yet. So I think that's why we've not seen any movement on the striker front, because we're just waiting in the wings. I just don't want this to go too far. And for us to suffer, really, at the start of the season because of it. Paris Saint-Germain defender Lavin Kurzawa has been reportedly offered to Leeds United. Leeds United have been offered the chance to sign PSG left-back Kurzawa, according to Media Foot. Kurzawa, who was reportedly being offered to Leeds, Premier League rivals. Everton is not considered part of PSG's long-term plans. Now, he's 29 years of age, 152 appearances, won 18 trophies, played 95 games for Monaco before that. And he is sort of the experience you need. And I've mentioned it on here before, guys, about Charlie Taylor. We've spoke about Scott. I've forgotten his first name now. Timon. And other strikers, Kamara, Cage was mentioning the other day as well. All these are sort of in the same bracket of left backs. But if we're to go to that level up, Kazawa is definitely one of those, and he is under that that sort of Victor Orta Hollywood signing, isn't he? So it'd be fascinating to see what happens there. But yeah, I think he'd be a decent addition. I think, and this is harsh to say, but I think there's a lot of fullbacks who would be a step up to Junior Firpo. I still think we needed 2 left backs. I still think we do need 2 left backs, but it's not a popular opinion. I don't think Junior Firpo is good enough, and I think we need just a backup one for Leif Davis anywhere, who is subject to a 1.1 million bid from Ipswich, which says it all. Everybody wasn't good enough in the Premier. He was told that he was surplus to requirements in the Premier League. I don't understand Leeds fans who are just lowering their expectations now and think that is an acceptable person to be within the 2 fighting for the left back jersey. I'm sure it's just ridiculous. So yeah, Leif Davis and Junior Firpo would be a big problem. So yeah, left back is absolutely huge, everyone. We need to get that done. The striker we need to get done very, very quickly. Let's hope De Ketelaere goes in our favour, but I don't think it will. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, guys. We'll be releasing another Patreon video tomorrow. Let me know exactly what your thoughts are on the rumours today. What are your thoughts on Jack Harrison, De Ketelaere? What would you do with the left back? Is there any names that you guys think would be applicable to this Leeds United side? And guys, I'll be back tomorrow with another Room Mill, of course. See you in a bit. Cheers.